As a small business owner, you often have your share of challenges. You might feel like you're the only one facing them. But what if you could be connected with another small business facing similar challenges? QuickBooks have done that in the Quick Round with QuickBooks Challenge. Two small business owners in a room sharing their challenges with each other, finding solutions, or simply sharing advice. Let's find out what happened in today's Quick Round with QuickBooks Challenge.
Gentlemen, I've got with me Tyrone and Rashmi. And Rashmi, thanks for joining us. Let's just hand over to you guys. I'd like you to tell us, name your business, and what is the challenge that you're facing at the moment that you'd like a little bit of help with?
Our business is called Simple Business Solutions. I think the challenge is pretty much what's explained in the title, growth versus quality. It's difficult being owner-run and over the years just trying to keep things as simple as possible. I think I like to be hands-on in everything, and delegating responsibilities to staff is a bit difficult for me because I end up redoing a lot of the work that they do. It's just causing a double amount of work instead of, maybe it's a problem with my management style. Or maybe I just haven't put enough systems in place.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
It's like listening to a mirror.
Okay.
I think one of the things we struggle with, there's three of us in our business, is because it's so hands-on. We own a CrossFit gym, CrossFit District 6, and we are also the coaches. So to coach and manage and put systems in place becomes quite tricky. So there's not enough time in the day almost, and you can get up earlier and go to bed later, but you end up just spreading yourself thinner and thinner and thinner.
Okay, well, look, looks like you've got quite similar problems. What's important for you guys who run your businesses to realize is that there's come a time where it's not just about you anymore, and you do have to start trusting people to do what you can do. Now, that is a really difficult transition to make, and it's a point on a business journey where you're thinking, okay, I've got some systems in place. I know how I like things to be done as the leader of this business. We have certain ways in which we deliver our product and we service our customers and we run the business. And you know them all. So handing that over to somebody else is not easy. And it's a combination. What you were saying there, Rashmi, was that you think you give them a bit of trust and then you have to do it yourself and you're doubling up on work. And Tyrone, perhaps similarly for you. And that's a perfectly natural feeling, and it's probably a combination of two things. One is probably the team member isn't quite up to your standards, and two, you're probably finding it hard to let go. An important statement to make to both you guys is that before a business starts growing and scaling, there comes a point where the leader or leaders of that business, it's very difficult to do this, but they have got to start realizing that the business needs to operate without them. Customers will start buying the business models that you have on offer rather than buying you guys and your way. You're starting to spend the business's money instead of your own money. And you're still operating the business on a day-to-day level, and it's dragging you down and it's stopping you from being able to grow properly. Okay, so I hope I've addressed the challenge, but also added a couple of bits to it. And this happens an enormous amount of time. So perhaps what's useful for you and the listeners listening out there is that when you're running a business, you'll get that feeling, you'll get to a point where you think, okay, this business is changing a little bit now. The dynamic is changing. It's not just about what I do. And that's when you need to start trusting who you take on. So when you take people on, you need to make sure that they are of the right type, of the right personality. They're going to be a good match with you. But then you need to give them a little bit more. And this is where this boring thing comes up: policies, procedures, structure. And it sounds quite tedious for guys like yourself who want to be up, running and doing things. But what you don't want to be doing is what Rashmi said there, which is doubling up and doing things yourself. So what I picture is, if you've got somebody that you've employed to come in and do some operations in the business, a good scenario is you greet them, Rashmi or Tyrone. They start the first day. They have a clear job description on what you want them to do, which has already been agreed. You then sit with that new staff member, and in order to get that trust up, you show them what they need to do, and you say, okay, here are the procedures by which this business operates. So you can now, you don't just have to, you're welcome to contact me if you need to find out how to do something, but you should have everything you need here. And you need to try and let go. And I can see you smiling because it's not easy to do. But there comes a point when you are set for growth. And part of that growth is obviously taking on new people where you guys, yeah, it's easy for me to say let go, but you need to have the tools to let go. So you need to think, okay, you need to stop and start writing down the systems that you've put in place because your business will carry on growing without systems, without procedures. But it will come to a point where it can't grow anymore until you've got them in place. Does that resonate?
Yeah, that resonates with me a lot.
It's quite a challenging thing. Sorry, Rashmi.
Yeah, I just think we all dread all the admin.
Yeah.
of putting systems in place. It's enough. It's hard enough to keep up with the day-to-day challenges.
The good news is that the actual admin and back office and structure of the business, that side of it is usually the easiest to get some policies and procedures in. And all they really are, what I think is good advice for you guys is to think now of your business as something that needs to create an instruction manual of how it operates. You can call that policy procedure, you can call it anything, but just stop for a minute and imagine how valuable that is to you. Firstly, from a day-to-day operational point of view, staff training. If they have everything in writing about how they are supposed to do their job, stands to reason that they're not going to need you to help them as much, and stands to reason they're not going to keep tapping you on the shoulder and ringing you. All right. So that's one part of it. So it helps your business operate better as soon as you have systems to get them recorded. This is the way that we do things. And and a lot of people say to me, well, yeah, but it sounds too corporate for us. That takes the emotion out of our business. Well, I know
or maybe
really,
the flexibility more.
Well, that's a good point. My point is it helps with the emotion in the business because there's nothing that drains your energy more than not being able to grow the business because you're getting your shoulder tapped on your phone rang every day. And this is the same for listeners out there who are in this position because you've hit a subject which a lot of people get to. Your customers are still thinking, well, Tyrone does it the best way or Rushby does it the best way. There comes a point where you've got to take a breath and drop your skills down into the business, drop your knowledge down into the business. It's in fact the only real way you can start to scale it up. So take one of the most successful franchises in the world, which is McDonald's, love them or hate them. Their business model is so scalable, they've taken so much emotion out of it. They can tell you when you buy a McDonald's franchise, how many rooftops of houses are in your area, is going to be responsible for how many Big Macs you sell in a month. That's how far they've taken it. And that's a huge business, which I know you guys aren't at that stage yet, but just that level of thinking. If someone was coming to buy your business and you weren't there, Rashmi was away from it and Tyrone was away from it, what would they be buying? And it doesn't matter if you're selling the business or not. That's not the point I'm making. How sellable is it when people come to buy something and invest, and what do they get from it? And the thing that makes your business more valuable than anything else as it grows is scalability. And that involves that word I keep bringing up, some structure, policy, procedures, the rule book of your business. Because when somebody comes to buy your business in years from now and you're gone, they're going to go, right, what's left? Well, here's an instruction manual on how you guys do things. Here are job descriptions. Here are procedure guides. And they are the things where the person looking to buy the business goes, right, I could pick this business up in Cape Town, I could drop it into Johannesburg, and I've already got 70 to 80% of the work done. Okay. But going back to our original point with you guys doubling up on work, worried about whether you can, you've got the time in a day, not trusting people to get done what you've got done or not do things as well as you. Accept that as the leaders of the business, they're probably never going to be as 100% on board as you. That's just a realism of life. Then think, okay, if I can get a good person up to 70 to 80% of my passion, I've done well. And if I give them the tools to do the job, not just a paint by numbers instruction manual, but ways in which we do things as a business, if that is written down, I can scale, I can grow.
Great. I think we've got all these things in our head. We just need to put it down on paper.
It's quite a tricky thing for us. Like for things like selling T-shirts and those type of things that are pretty 1, 2, 3 steps. Those type of procedures are pretty basic to do and put together. So you've got our little files, all those sort of processes in place. It's the tricky stuff. If someone walks off the street and comes in and I'm in the middle of training, that one's there, that one's gone to an appointment. It's obviously a little bit more individually based to our business structure, but it gets quite tricky with putting a procedure in place for those type of things. What's the process if you had to walk into the gym tomorrow and you see me and I come deal with you. Now what happens next?
Okay, no, it's a
All
good,
those
it's a
type
good
of things.
question.
So
And my answer to that, Tyrone, is actually what's part of procedures is what I call workflows. So let's take your scenario. It may seem a little bit much at this stage, but the sooner you can start thinking about it, the better. So what is the procedure when someone walks in off the street? Okay. So you're training up a new member of staff and someone walks in to ask about your courses and ask how do they engage with you. There's a way that you do that. That doesn't mean your staff talk like robots. It means they're comfortable, they know. And you explain to that new staff
This
member,
is the
right, when
process.
people come in, here's how we deal with them. Okay. Firstly, listen to their question and think, okay, what's a good way to take them? Show them the courses, engage them by perhaps speaking to other people who've taken the courses. There's always a flow to what you're doing. So one workflow could be engaging customers. Here's how we do it. And that is a good example of a way, of a procedure, of a system that makes your business operate better and worth a lot more. Client walks in off the street, phone call from a client. When we onboard a client, and you just work the flows through the business. One workflow could be engage client through to completion of first course on the CrossFit. And there will be 6 items in that workflow. And if your business starts getting good at those, once they're done, and your workflows are sorted, you've got a procedure, your business becomes good at every element of that workflow, then people can just come in and new staff members, potential investors, they can just pick it up and go, wow, this you guys have got this tapped. I like this. So
Isn't it also about the company culture? So if that's echoed in all your workflows, your staff know how to take the initiative. Like when he says everyone's busy, and there might be someone that might not have the training or the specific knowledge, but they know how management deals with it, and they're comfortable to take the initiative because they buy into the company's culture.
totally.
Yeah.
I mean, culture is there's 3 main areas of business which I've spoken to about to other guys, but you've got your strategy for next year, you've got your day-to-day operations, and you've got your structure, your cost to the business. 3 easy ways to think about your business. But one addition to that, the only other addition to that is the company culture. And that's something that comes from you guys, that is a skill that goes down the business that you can't really write down. Culture is the hardest thing to write a procedure about. Yeah, you don't write it down. You get that from the way you onboard staff. Is your vision set? How passionate are you? When you speak to people, you're looking for people who are similarly minded. You'll get a feel for the right people. Then the culture part becomes easier. Even though culture is a little bit different, my suggestion to all you businesses out there and to you guys is that the second you start to put systems in place in your business, you are in a position to improve your culture, not dent it.